From EPAWA Weather Consulting, headquartered in Worth Whitehall, Pennsylvania, this is Weather Weeklies, an informative video of the ins and outs of weather that affect you most in the EPAWA coverage area. The thoughts and opinions expressed in this video are those of the forecaster alone and may not reflect those of the staff of EPAWA Weather Consulting LLC as a whole, nor its constituents. Now, without further ado, here is meteorologist Bobby Martrich with Weather Weeklies.
Hey, good Sunday morning to another edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, January 30th, 2022. We have a winter storm now in the rearview mirror. It has moved away, and we have the digging out has ensued beginning yesterday. If you haven't done it yet, some areas got a lot of snow. I don't blame you, because yesterday was a very high wind chill kind of day. So it was blowing all over the place, but the winds have died down now. We should be now moving on to the next events. That's what we're going to look at in this video. Take a look at the next 5 to 6 weeks and where we're at. Here's our long-range table from Friday. I did have this out Friday, despite being the final day of storm prep for this past storm. But this is generally where we're at. Okay, so we do have a warm-up coming this week, and it's been talked about a lot. But I don't think it's exactly what people think it's going to be or what they thought it was going to be. It's just a short transient warm-up. We are going to see an increase in temperatures gradually over the next couple of days. So Monday gets back to maybe near freezing or pretty close to it. Then you get slightly above freezing on Tuesday. It's really Wednesday and Thursday that are your days that have the warmth coming in. So it will melt a lot of the snow that you have laying around. Perhaps not even all of it, because some areas will get into the 50s by the time we get to Thursday. Some will stay in the 40s, but you're still going to be above average during that period. So we had this slightly above to above average period between the 1st and 3rd. It's really the 2nd and 3rd that we're dealing with that warmth. And then there might be a area low pressure moving along that boundary and give us a little bit of snow, some rain changing to snow Thursday night into Friday morning. So we'll get into that in this video too, and I want to talk about a subsequent storm signal. Now, this storm signal I have listed here between the 7th and 9th. It may be a little bit premature with that time frame. It might be more like the 9th to the 10th or 11th, something like that, somewhere in that range. We'll watch it. The ensembles are really honing in on that a couple days after that. So I don't want to say I was rushed so much when I did the long-range outlook, but I kind of was with this part of it, the winter storm signal, because I had so much going on, as you can imagine, before the storm hit on Friday morning when I was doing this. So January, no doubt, is going to finish below average across the entire region, between -3 and -6 across the region. Now, remember, that is not in any one specific area. That's broad for the entire area we cover. So there's some pretty cold temperatures that we saw in January in contrast to what we saw in December, okay? One big change here, though, has been with the temperatures here in February. We had near average listed last week. We're going to go slightly below average now, because even though we have this warm-up coming this week, we have another one that's going to be taking place right around, during the second week of February for a couple of days there, too, kind of like this one's a transient warm-up. But the rest of the time, it looks like it's going to be below average. So we're going to have the majority of the month averaging out. If you take the entire month snapshot as a whole, and now it's now favoring the cooler side of average for the month as a whole, but that's going to depend on MJO progression. We'll get that in this video too. First, we're going to look at the observed snowfall that we have from the last storm. I will tell you that most local forecasters that did this storm did a very good job with it. Even some of the Facebook pages that just do it as a hobby. A lot of them did pretty well with this. We had see what we do with ours. We don't have these big ranges. A lot of people were putting these ranges of 12 to 24. I mean, there's a big difference between 12 and 24. Just like there's a big difference between 1 and 4, or 1 to 5, 1 to 6. We broke it down with 1 to 3, 3 to 5, 5 to 8. So it's a tighter range. It gives you a better, more realistic expectation. But being a professional forecast agency, I would think you would expect that from us. Okay. But overall, everybody did pretty well with this. This is pretty much, this is the Mount Holly forecast region, which is, I'm not showing the other regions here in just this area, because this is the area that really got hit, okay? Areas further northwest did not do so well. And actually, to truth be told, the far northwestern portions of our coverage area that we had maybe getting to the 1-inch mark, some of them fell a little bit short. So we had them in the 1 to 3. You had some areas getting like maybe 0.8 of an inch, 7, something like that. It came close, but If there was one area that missed, it was right here. But this rest of this map here, according to the Mount Holly map, is literally our map. Literally. Even that little spot in southeastern Bucks that we had getting above 8 inches. And we had Philadelphia not quite getting to 8 inches. They had 7.5. So southeast Bucks had a couple places around Ben Salem and places like that had 8, 9 inches of snow. So they did get above that 8-inch threshold there. But then across South Jersey, you just got walloped along the coast here. So that's that. It was a very tricky storm to forecast, but I think we and several others did very well with this. Here is our average annual snowfall. Now I did my research again with this. Let me get my little pad here. Okay, so Philadelphia in average January is 6.5. Well, you had 7.5 yesterday alone, through the end of the storm yesterday. So month to date, 12.1 inches of snow in Philadelphia, which is the same amount you had. That 12.1 is what you have month to date. Is also year to date, so you didn't have anything prior to that. And 10.2 is where you should be to this point in the year. So you're actually at an above average pace now for Philadelphia. Despite all the moans and groans about Southeast PA and Philadelphia not getting snow, you made up for it in one storm. And that's what can happen. You just have one storm that can change things around a little bit. And now you're at an above average snowfall pace for the year. You should be at 10.2. You're at 12.1. Okay. Now, Allentown, however, 8.9 for the month, which is also 8.9 for the year, because there was nothing prior to January, and 14.6 is where you should be year to date. So you're below average in Allentown for both the month, slightly below for the month, but for the year to date, you had nothing prior to that, so you are below average there by about 5 inches or so, or 6 inches. Harrisburg, 9.5 month to date, so you're above month to date average, okay? 10.6 for the year, you should be at 13.7 so far this year, okay? That's not too bad, okay? Yeah, you're under, but you're close. Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, another place that's under. 9.1 for the month, 12.5 for the year. You should be at 22.5 for the year. So obviously below both January and year-to-date there. Newark is 14.6. This is the one area that's pretty much average. 14.6 for the month. You're above average in January. 14.8 for the year, however, is 0.3 above where you should be in the normal pace of. So it's pretty much normal snowfall year-to-date in Newark. The big winner, though, is Atlantic City. 33.2 inches of snow, all falling this month. You should have 8.6 year-to-date so far, and your total season's worth of snowfall is 17.4 normally. You're at 33.2. That's almost double. So congratulations, southeastern areas. This is your year so far. And if you look at this I just did this as an approximation. This line here separates the below average areas further to the north to the above averages areas further south. So now it includes Southeast PA, Philadelphia, and parts of toward the coast of northern New Jersey all the way down southward. This is all below average up here and above average down here. This is generally what it is across our region. That's just because of storm track. We had a couple of very favorable tracks for southeastern areas this month, and that has gotten you into the above average snowfall. Does that mean that you're not going to get snow up here to make up for it? No, it doesn't mean that. I think as we go further into winter, climatologically speaking, it's going to start favoring the interior more than it will southeast. So I don't hear any complaints from people down here in the southeastern areas that are above average if you're getting some slop and rain events going forward as your predominant thing, because you had plenty, okay? If it starts coming up here a little bit more, which is climatologically speaking the better probability, you might make up for some lost time here, okay? As we've been talking about every single week, as we're looking at the La Nina regions in the equatorial Eastern Pacific that basically drives our pattern, okay, as a base of our pattern. And the temperature change in that region hasn't changed too much in the past week. Slightly cooler overall in the La Nina regions, but this is just a weak La Nina, and you can see that's where we are right now, right around here, and then it's going to continue heading up toward neutral, we think, as we head to about mid-spring or so, or thereabouts. So we'll have be close to in the April, May, June time frame, maybe mid to late spring. We'll be up to near neutral, and maybe heading to a weak La Nina after that. We'll see how that works out. In terms of sea surface temperatures, this is where we are. This is observed. It is still a basin-wide event, but east-leaning La Nina. If you look here in our comparable analog on the 29th of January in 2018, Very similar idea here. Very similar, even in the North Pacific. Everything's pretty much lining up with what that sea surface temperature configuration is. So there's no reason to change that. Now, last week I took Allentown Lehigh Valley International Airport, and I used this as an example as our centermost point of our coverage region, and showed that we started off colder in the beginning of February that year, up to about the 9th or 10th or whatever, and then we had some really, really warm shots came in here on several occasions, and we have an 81-degree temperature that was reached on February 21st. So I did a live stream on Friday night, and I went through their comments afterwards. I got to most of those questions that people were asking me. Somebody asked me a question that I missed, and I wanted to answer this. It was about, are you abandoning your 2018 analogs now that you have slightly below average temperatures overall in February? I don't know if I want to abandon it yet, and I'm not completely convinced that this month of February is still going to finish slightly below average. I know that's technically what we have in there, but this is all going to depend on our MGO progression, whether or not we get a milder, at least second half of February. I think the first half's definitely colder than average. You're going to have some, a couple transient shots in there. We have one coming on the 2nd and 3rd, which is this Wednesday and Thursday. And then we have another one coming around maybe like the 10th to the 12th, something around there. But then it goes right back to colder than average after that, we think, okay? It's going to depend on MGO progression. And here is the Madden-Julian Oscillation is where the best convection is along the equatorial equatorial regions globally. Right along the tropical convergence zone, which is about 5 degrees north of the equator. Wherever that best convection is in the globe is what drives our patterns, okay? It drives the jet streams, drives Rossby waves, and this is the GFS Ensemble projection, which is the most aggressive, taking this out of the circle of death, where it is now, which means it has no real effect on our pattern from a tropical forcing standpoint, but it does get it into phase 3 once we get into the first week, or during the first week of February, and then it moves into phase 4. Well, phase 3 looks like this in February in a La Nina year. This is still cold. This is a cold period for February. Wasn't so much in January. Now we're in February, so this changes a little bit. So this is a colder than average pattern, continuing across not only the Northwest but also the Northeast and even the Great Lakes here. And Ohio Valley. If you get further southeast, your southeast ridge will start coming into play. And phase 4 goes back to about near average, maybe near to slightly above. Okay, so we're going to watch that, because if it does go into phase 4 like this is suggesting, and as quickly as it's suggesting it does, then we will have to look at some possible warmer risks at the end of toward the end of February. So they're going in 2 different directions. The reason why the European model and the Australian projections are mostly here in the circle of death, maybe sneaking into phase 3 barely. Okay, it doesn't have any indication of phase 4 right now. If that were to happen, you have the milder risk come into play, but nothing crazy. It's still kind of near average or climatological average at that point. But if you're in phase 3, it's definitely a colder phase, as you can see here. So this is going to have downstream effects of what our pattern is going to be. Now I'm going to take a look at from the middle of the month through the following week after that, through about the 22nd. Here's what the downstream upper air pattern on the GFS Ensemble looks like. They both have ridging into western Alaska and the Aleutians here, and that's what's shown on the GFS Ensemble. But look where all the cold is. It's out here. The lower heights are out in the western United States, and then we get some warmer risks that are coming in to the eastern United States. You get a little bit of southeastern ridge influence, and it extends pretty far north. So here's all your this is where all your troughiness is up here. This is where your cold is on the GFS Ensemble once you get past mid-month, okay? So that is going to be different from the European Ensemble, because the European Ensemble is holding on to the circle of death longer and then gets into phase 3. It's all delayed, okay? So I think the delayed might be a good possibility. And look at what the GFS, or the European Ensemble for that same period, shows. A little different. Quite a bit different, okay? In this case, your trough polar vortex associated with this is kind of like in here. You do get a little bit of southeast ridge influence, but it's all the way down to the southeastern United States. This is a phase 3 look right here. Phase 3. You still got the ridging out here, right? But you still got cold air dumping into the United States here in at least the northern part of the United States, to include our area, in during the second half of the month as well, okay? Because everything's delayed a little bit, okay? So the southeast ridge influence is not as great on the European Ensemble. So this is the Euro Weeklies I'm using here to illustrate. So this could certainly change one way or the other. So the lot less confidence once we get past the middle of February and going beyond. It's going to depend on how this evolves with time. Is it going to be more of, whoops, hold on one second. Is going to be more of this here, which is the GFS Ensemble, and you get that Southeast Ridge influence and a warmer risk second half of February, or more like this, which is not a warmer risk second half of the February. In this case, it's delayed until the first week of March, and that's the way we structured our long-range outlook on Friday. At least that's what I did now, but that is subject to change in the second half. The further you go out in time, the long range gets a little bit less trustworthy. You can kind of go either way here. So we'll continue to monitor that. As far as temperature periods here over the next couple of weeks, yeah, cold now. You're going to have that transit warm up for Wednesday. This is Wednesday and Thursday this week. A sharp drop in temperature that comes in here on Friday and lasts for several days. And you stay slightly below average through about the 9th or 10th or thereabout. Then you're going to have another piece come in right here. Watch it come in. There it is. You get to just slightly above average this time for a couple days, and then look what happens. Cold air comes back in right around the middle of the month on the European Ensemble. Again, the GFS Ensemble does not do that. It starts bringing the warmer air in and it holds it a little bit. So, and that's because of that MJO progression I'm talking about. So it's going to be a lot, largely dictated on that, how that works out. Now, there is a... Oh boy, I forgot something. This is okay. So this is the rain ending as snow Thursday night, Friday. I'm using the European Ensemble here because the Euro operational went a little crazy with this, and I'm gonna see if I can. While I'm doing this, give me a second here. I had this. Oh, I didn't take this out of storm mode yet. I just realized that. Let me pull this up here, and I'll move this over and see if you can see it. So what the European model is doing, and this is going to be last night's run, and the previous night it was doing something similar. It's going to move a area low pressure along the boundary as the cold front's moving through. So we're going to have rain come in on, or showers, I should say, later evening or overnight on Wednesday. Periods of rain on Thursday, and then Thursday night into Friday morning, it has a, let me get the right model here. Here we go. Okay, now we're on the right one. I'll move this over and I'll show you. But it has a rain changing to snow situation as that boundary works through. Okay, so I don't know if this is going to show very well. Let's see. We can see what we got. You can kind of see it. Okay, this is not going to be cropped like I normally have in the daily forecast videos, but you'll get the general idea. So you have this rain coming in Wednesday night, right? And then as you got periods of rain on Thursday, and then Thursday evening and night, it changes over to snow because you have low pressure moving along the boundary, enhancing that precipitation and throwing it back into the cold air after the temperatures drop Thursday evening, Thursday night from northwest to southeast, and it has this snow going all the way across, all the way to the coast, actually. It ends as snow. And then taking a look at the, if I go to take a closer look at this and go to the snow map, just to give you an idea, because you're going to see these anyway, so it doesn't matter. This is not an endorsement of it, certainly, but look what kind of snow it puts down here. I mean, this is ridiculous. That's a lot of snow. Is this possible? Yes, I would say it is possible, but it's not. It's probably not the most realistic solution, especially since the ensembles are looking more like this. Okay, and that just shows to me that the far interior, way far out of our area, and maybe far northwestern portions of our area could get a little bit more out of this if that changeover occurs faster. But see how it incrementally drops as you move toward the coast. This tells me that you're going to probably have rain ending as snow, so that's certainly a possibility. We'll watch that, but don't get too excited about that snow maps like the one I just showed you there. That was ridiculous. It had 10 to 16 inches of snow. That's a lot of snow, and I doubt it. Right now, I doubt it, but we'll see. Anything's possible, okay? Low pressure moving along the boundary will do that, and as soon as the cold air comes in and it's sufficiently cold enough to change over to sleet and then snow, that's what you have, okay? So that's possible here Thursday night into early Friday morning. That finally moves away. And then we have other storm signals here. Again, these are going to be more like the 9th through the 11th or 12th. You got some stuff floating around here on the ensembles, as I'm showing here. It's just looping. Not tremendous, but there's still some, see that? There's some signals right in that range there that could produce snow because we're now going to be colder again in this period. So we have to watch that period especially for our next storm signal. So I have 7th and 9th in there now in the long range outlook. That's might be more like 9th to 11th. But there are opportunities going into February, and as long as we have slightly below average temperatures, you can certainly get snow in the right setup. Okay, so we'll watch that. Okay, and it's going to be starting to favor the interior areas more so as we get deeper into February because of climatological average temperatures going up. Okay, so less at the coast this time. Not saying you can't get more on the coast, you certainly can, but further northwest is going to be start being favored a little bit more from a climatological standpoint, but that does not mean big storm either. Now, maybe not like we just had anyway. I'm not talking about these big outlandish snow amounts like we just had from this last coastal storm. So we'll see how that does. We'll handle that on a shorter term basis. One other thing up here right hand corner, I took away the winter banner here for signing up for winter alerts. We're now at the end of January. There's no sense in signing up. If you're going to sign up for any of our text alerts, do it on a monthly basis or semi-annually or annually, whatever. So this is the address you want to go to. It's the main My Pocket Meteorologist page. Don't sign up for the winter stuff anymore. We're actually going to take that page down very shortly because there's no sense in signing up for winter now when we don't have much left. Okay, we have about 2 months left. This program started November 1st, so if you're signing up now, you're not getting much of a value to justify that cost at this point. So just get either the monthly, you can do the annual stuff, get stuff year round for when we get into severe season. You'll have all that too. But just go to this address instead of the winter weather alerts page, okay? And I'm going to take that down here as soon as we get to February, it'll be taken down. So, I would just do that for right now. Summarize here, maintaining the 2018 is a leading analog, but we're monitoring MJO progression in the weeks ahead, which determines how long the colder overall pattern maintains in February. Is this something that's going to be second half of month? We're just getting these warmer risks in here, like the GFS Ensemble shows, or is it going to be prolonged and wait until the beginning of March for that to happen, like the European Ensemble and the Euro Weekly show? So we'll see, and the MJO progression will determine that. Phase 3 is still cold signal. If you get into Phase 4, it's like, that's getting the maritime continent, and then you're getting some warmer risks coming into play a little bit. We are watching multiple threats over 2 different time periods. One's going to be Thursday night, Friday morning, as that rain changes to snow along that boundary with low pressure moving along that boundary. If that does in fact take place, I just don't think it's going to be the extent the European model's showing, but maybe something more like the ensembles are showing. And then all of the ensembles, GFS, European, Canadian, also the same thing. So same general idea with that same rain ending as snow deal, but it's not a tremendous amount of snow. And then we're also watching during the second week of February. Again, it might not be the 7th and 9th, might be 9th to 11th, but there's some periods in there of interest that we have to watch. January, we definitely finished below average across the entire region after a warm December, and February features cold overall with transit mild shots, at least as of now. Again, second half of February, a little bit of question there with that MJO progression, and once we have that figured out, we'll certainly let you know in future updates. I'm EPAWA meteorologist Bobby Marchus. That is this edition of Weather Weeklies for Sunday, January 30th. Join us again next week. It'll be February, and we'll take a look at that longer range pattern in February at that time, see if there are any changes to be made. Take care. Stay safe.